there he is, and you're a legend, Tone. How you been, my friend?
How are you today? Good to be on the show.
So, have you slept yet? I mean, I don't think sleep has been in the past week for you.
No, it's been kind of crazy. Good crazy, but crazy. You know, there's a lot of hype on the movie, and they've been really going crazy. Like, the stars of the movie are really, like, they're all over the place. But me, I'm just a little peon. I'm just doing a little bit here and there, you know.
But you're doing a lot. I mean, you're like in the mix of the whole thing.
Well, you know, Leo, who wrote the script, is a dear friend of mine, and John Gotti Jr. has been my friend for years in his family.
Okay.
So, you know, so there was, you know, this movie's been trying to get made for 8 years. So all that time, you know, I've seen it from the beginning, you know, till we got to here, you know, to finally finishing the film.
So when they asked you to have a part in it, what was your initial reaction?
Actually, they didn't. I didn't ask. Like, the one thing I've always prided myself in is, you know, the friends that I have that are in the business and those that are actors and producers, I never ask for anything. I just don't.
Sure.
And it's a really funny story. I got a phone call from Michael Rispoli, who is a tremendous actor, and he's done such great work. And we've been friends for a long time. And he called me up. He said, "So what part are you playing in Gotti?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, what role do you play?" I'm like, "I don't play any role." He's like, "What do you mean? Leo is family to you. He wrote it, and John, you know, forever." I'm like, "Michael, how long do you know me? Have I ever called you up asking for a role in any movie you've done? I just don't do that." And he said, "Yeah, but it's different. That's why people want to help you, because you don't." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm all right." And then I hung up with him, and then about an hour later, I got a phone call. And I pick up the phone, and it was from the casting agent. And she said, "Tony Luke Jr.?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I like the schedule to come in to audition for one of the roles in Gotti." I'm like, "How did you get my number? Who called you?" And she's like, "Michael Rispoli called me." So Michael made the initial phone call, and then I went up, and I was supposed to play the part of Tommy Bilotti. It didn't work out. Like, I got the part, but you know, airfare and getting down, and they wanted to do a local hire. And I said, "You know what, I think I'm going to pass, guys." So I went just to support, you know, John and Leo.
Sure.
And while I was there was a scene that they needed to put in the film that John thought was very important, because it kind of really explains who John Gotti Sr. was. Like, it really shows those views and ideals that he lived by.
Right.
And I was there, and they were like, "Tony, can you help? You know, can you do the scene?" And I'm like, "I'd be honored to do the scene." And we shot it that same night, literally, and it worked out great. You know, it was my first time working with Travolta, and you know, I didn't get to know him much when we were filming, because we shot that in one day. So
okay.
Hello and goodbye. He seemed like a really nice guy, but during the promoting of this film, I got to know him pretty good. And he really is a beautiful human being. I mean, he just is. I mean, his appreciations to his fans, and he's very appreciative. He's not your typical Hollywood, you know, guy with that kind of attitude. He goes out of his way, and he's just really a good man. I felt really blessed that I got to know him a little bit. You know, he's a good man.
As an Italian guy from
and
South
so
Philly.
Kelly. What's that?
I was say, as an Italian guy from South Philly, I mean, how much of like a bucket list part of life is this? I mean, working with John Travolta, working not only in a mob movie, but a movie about John Gotti. I mean, it's just like, just the checks of the bucket list just happen for you with this.
Well, you know what's funny? I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of great actors in all the films. You know, I mean, I became very good friends with Dennis Hopper before he passed away from 10th and Wolf, and I worked with really good people, but I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you I was kind of like blown away by working at Travolta because, you know, I grew up in that era. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Saturday Night Fever and Welcome Back, Kotter. It was like for, you know, when we first started doing the scene, it felt very surreal to me because he was one of those actors that I really looked up to and wanted to emulate, you know? So
right.
to do the scene with him was a dream come true, but then to actually get to know him a little bit and see him the real man, not the actor, was even more surreal, you know. And Kelly Preston, his wife, is not just a tremendous actor, and she kills it in this movie. I mean, and so does John. I mean, he transforms into John Gotti, and you know, she was amazing as well, and the whole crew, and you know, Leo, you know, Rossi just put his heart and soul into it, and it's very different. I mean, you know, you've seen it. It's more like a docudrama feature. It's more through the eyes of the people that loved him, the family. So
yeah.
I tell people, they're like, the biggest question I get is, you know, who did him better? Did Armand Assante or Travolta? And I go, well, that's a very difficult question to answer because, first of all, Travolta, to me, morphed into Gotti. But that's not the point. Armand Assante did a tremendous job. But it's trying to compare apples and oranges. You know, this is more, you know, an inside look that you didn't see in any of the other Gotti movies. Plus, you know, there's real footage of John Gotti. Like, this film is mixed with, you know, Travolta as Gotti and then the real John Gotti, which I love that whole docudrama feature feel to it. It's very different. I tell people, if you watch the other Gotti film on HBO, go and see this because it's not a remake of that. It is a completely different entity unto itself.
Yeah, and that's what I've been, like, a lot of people who've been asking me about it. I keep telling them, like, you know what, like, you've seen other movies and you've seen documentaries over the years about John, and you know all that stuff already. But this is like just what you said. It's the family side of it where you get to know John Gotti as the father of his family and the relationship between Junior and father, and that's the true story here. I mean, the whole mafia part of it is just kind of like icing on the cake to the true family story that's going on in this movie.
Well, what I really love that they did, to be honest, is it's from the family's point of view. So they could have candy coded a lot of stuff, but they didn't.
Sure.
I mean, they let you see. You know, at the premiere yesterday, they talked about, you know, they asked John Jr., well, do you think movies like this glorify the mafia and La Cosa Nostra and organized crime? And it was brilliant what he said. He said, my father spent 10 years in solitary confinement. They butchered him. He had throat, a jaw, and neck cancer. He ate alone for 10 years in solitary. He suffered like an animal, like just ungodly. He suffered. He said, tell me how that is glorifying the mob, because is that the ending that you want with your life? Is that how you want to end up, in solitary with disease and in pain and tortured all of that time? He said, I don't think there's anything glorifying about it. And he's right. It's not glorifying the mob and say, hey, look what a great life this is. He's saying, this is the life you choose. This is the ending that you have. Like, this is where it leads. I mean, one of my favorite lines in the beginning of the film, and you've seen it, when he says, you know, I grew up in these streets and I came up from nothing. He said, but in this life, it only ends two ways, either dead or in prison the rest of your life. And he said, I did both. So there's glorifying. There's no glorifying, you know, organized crime in this film at all.
No, really not. And I'll tell you what, like, and you were talking about, you know, Travolta playing Gotti and how amazing he did. I mean, especially those the jailhouse scenes where towards the end of his life with him and Junior, to me, I mean, you're looking at that. That is not John Travolta. You can't. It's just such an amazing job they did between makeup and John's acting. It's just amazing. He truly became John Gotti.
He did, and he was wearing. The other thing that's great about this, he was literally wearing in some of the scenes John Gotti Sr.'s real clothes. He was wearing John Gotti Sr. His jewelry. Like, to be able to play someone and then wear those clothes, it's almost like you feel him around you. And then to get into that character. I got to tell you, look, it's not a Marvel movie. It's not a DC movie. If you're looking for a movie with explosions and gun chases and, all of these special effects, this isn't the movie for you. But if you're looking to get a real inside look of who the man was, and without it being candy-coated, and a real story, a true story, a real story, something to sit back and watch instead of just look at special effects, this is a must-see movie. Like, you need to go see this. This was so reminiscent for me about the way movies used to be done, where there were these big, these stories. It was intimate without the explosions and car crashes. It was, it was just you getting involved in the character on the screen. And you know what? I don't think I'm wrong. I think the audience is going to embrace this. I think that it's different from with anything that is out there, and I think that they're going to go to the theater and they're going to watch this movie.
I agree. I really do. Did you get to be on set for a lot of the making of the movie, that was done locally?
I was down there for over a week, a week and a half. So I saw a lot of the stuff, from behind the scenes, and it was just John brought it every day. Leo brought it every day. Every actor, Stacy Keach, and Christopher Mulkey, they brought it every single day. It wasn't just a paycheck for them. I mean, this was someone's life, and they took it very serious. And listen, these are real people. So, you get people from their families, to go and be like, this is my dad you're playing, or, you know what I mean, this is my uncle you're playing. I hope you'll do it right, and, you'll be truthful about it, because Hollywood sometimes tends to, distort things because they want to make it more entertaining. But this wasn't. This was very true and right to the point.
Being the fact that you are friends with Junior and the family and all, and you've gone through the process of this with them, especially the last week and all, has it been an emotional ride for them, do you think?
It has been an emotional ride for John for quite some time. I mean, this is his father. And this is his story, because John is very much a part of this story. And there was a lot that was left out. I mean, John Jr. went through a lot that was not put up on that screen. So, it's got to be a strange feeling to watch your life unfold on screen and just know that there's so much more to be told, yet how do you tell it, in an hour and 40 minutes, that's, there's so much more to the story, and you want to say, well, there's more to this or there's more to that, but, all you've got is that time. But I think for the time that the movie runs, I think they did a great job. You know what I mean? I really think that they did. And I think it is definitely a movie worth watching, because to get a look into someone's life from the people that were there and loved him, not from the headlines, not from what people read or what was on the newspaper or on television, but from people that actually were there. And I think this movie hits that on every level.
Absolutely. And I know you're busy and you're at work and all. Real quick, I wanted to get into. I saw they also. They paid back the favor to you, and they were supporting Brown at White at some of the events they were doing.
Yeah, all of the proceeds from the Long Island screening went towards Brown and White, and John has a poster that he's going to auction off in an autumn. John is he's a good man, and he knows how devastating this disease of addiction is, and he's putting all of his resources that he can towards helping raise money for awareness and to end this stigma, and if you knew him, you would understand. He's a good guy. He really is a good man. And then, there's, people speak, like I read things and I'm like, I know the man for years. He's never done that. He's never said that. He's never done that. But, people assume, they don't know someone. They only know what they think. They know where they read about it. And then that's their opinion. I mean, that's look, there's a great thing about social media where you get information instantly. The bad thing is, people's opinions who maybe don't even know someone, they become fact because everyone retweets it, everyone says it, when they're not facts. You know what I mean? You don't, if you knew them, look, if you knew someone for years and you had an opinion, then that's your opinion and that's fine. But if you never met the person and you don't know really anything about them other than what you're reading second and third hand, to make a statement or a judgment, is a little ridiculous. I mean, it just is. I mean, I have opinions on a lot of things, but if I don't know the person, I'm not going to go on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook and go, this person's no good. What basis do I have on that? I don't know anything about them. And I'm smart enough to know that, what's that commercial that I loved when there was a great commercial and somebody said something like, do you know that so-and-so does this? And they were like, no, they don't. And they were like, sure, I read it on the Internet. And they're like, oh, if it's on the Internet, then it must be true, So
it must be.
That's the point. People should hold off on their judgment. Go see the film. Again, I can't say this enough. This was not candy-coated. They did not make John out to be, a saint. They said, hey, this was my dad. I loved him. This was my father, my uncle. That's who he was, and this is the life that he led, and this is the way it really was. There's no candy coat, but I think you will come out with a little bit of a different perspective. Not good or bad. It's just that when you watch the other Gotti movies, it's a story. He does this, he's his rise, and then he is at, Paul Castellano gets killed, he becomes, takes over the family. It's the same thing. No, these are sections of his life. These are things that most people didn't see. Interactions between him and his kids that give you a real inside look at the man. So it's absolutely worth seeing.
Absolutely. And you know what? I can't thank you enough for inviting us to go. I was so excited when you called and invited us. And then when we saw, I was like, oh, my God, this was such a great event to be at. And I can't thank you enough.
Well, I know that you appreciate film. And I know that, it's a true story. And I knew that, again, it doesn't matter what your view is on that, on organized crime or the mafia. It's a good movie. It's a movie that shows you insight to a person. It doesn't have to change your view, but at least now, whatever your view is, you can look at it from the inside. And if you leave and your view is the same, then it's the same, but with more knowledge you had before you went in.
Absolutely. Cool. So this is the big weekend. It's out now today officially. People just need to go to the theater. Go in a recliner seat, enjoy it, and you won't be sorry.
Well, I hope to see you soon, Bay. God bless you, my brother.
Tony. Thank you. Love you, my friend. And let's catch up soon.
Take care. Love you, too. Yes, absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, there he goes, the one and only Mr. Tony Loke Jr. Check it out. He's in the movie Gotti. It's out today, starring John Travolta and John's wife, Kelly Preston, who plays John's wife in the movie. Seriously, check it out. And something else I'm going to do, too, and Tony was actually busy at work, and he just wanted to call in and talk about this real quick, but he actually just recently released a song. He is the man behind #Brown and White, and to end the stigma of addiction, and he's fighting against this, and he's got a whole organization going here in the Philadelphia area, and a whole team, and one of Tony's other things, not only beside acting, and people just might think, oh, just, Tony Luke Jr., cheesesteaks. No, the guy is an entertainment mogul. He is. He really is. He's actor, musician, singer, and he just recently released a new song. He did a cover of a Bob Dylan song called "Make You Feel My Love," and I wanted to play that for everybody, to share it with everybody, because Tony really does have a beautiful voice, and I wanted to. I mean, I wish we had more time to talk to him about it, but he should be doing like country songs, and you'll understand why after you hear his voice on this song. But anyway, here it is, the new song from Tony Luke. It's called "Make You Feel My Love."